The scent of Elias Thorne's power lingered in the sterile air of Ironwood Command like ozone after a lightning strike, attracting predators. 1 week after his disappearance, his forced retirement to the gold cage, Audrey and I occupied the war room. We hadn't just changed the seating chart. We had inverted the command structure. The holographic displays that once projected financial forecasts now tracked the movements of rival cartels and government regulators. We were facing the inevitable reality. The Syndicate Council had convened. The council, known only in whispers as the Ghosts, represented the ancient inherited wealth that funded the syndicate. They were the silent, inert core of the machine. They didn't care about operations, strategy, or territory. They cared only about stability, control, and profit. Elias was their shield, the theatrical tyrant who kept the messy business of governance away from their pristine hands. Now the shield was gone, and they wanted answers. I stood behind Audrey's chair, a silent, imposing presence, less a bodyguard, more a declaration of partnership. A council appeared on the central holographic display. 3 masked, cloaked figures seated around a vast, featureless table in a room that was either a vault or a tomb. They didn't use names, only titles, their voices modulated to eliminate any recognizable human tone. Operator, you have created instability. The central figure, the arbiter, projected, the voice distorted and low, carrying the weight of centuries. Vance is discredited, and the chairman is indisposed. This structure is fragile. The structure was corrupt, Audrey countered, her voice unwavering as she met the arbiter's digital gaze. She didn't flinch from their implied threat. Vance was a threat to long-term profits, and my father, by exposing our critical assets, became a threat to security. I have conducted a necessary purge. The system is stable, Arbiter. It is merely undergoing maintenance. Maintenance is costly, another voice, deeper and more resonant, the curator demanded. Show us the numbers, Operator. Audrey didn't hesitate. She ran the data. The massive central screen, typically reserved for global threat assessment, flooded with the full financial report, a stark, unflinching visualization detailing the catastrophic, unchecked risks Vance was running, juxtaposed with her clean, albeit aggressive, plan for consolidation. The presentation was flawless, a cold, unassailable fortress of data. I had spent 72 hours assembling. It wasn't just convincing. It was irrefutable. It showed that by cutting off the hand, Vance, and removing the head, Elias, she had prevented the collapse of the body. The arbiter considered the numbers. The silence stretched, thick and judgmental. The data is sound. You have secured the machine, Operator, but control of the machine requires the key. The chairman's ring. Where is the heirloom? The heirloom, the symbolic ring, heavy and dark silver, worn by the chairman of the syndicate, was far more than jewelry. It was said to contain encrypted codes, multi-factor authentication, and access to the deep reserve funds, the foundation of the entire structure. Elias never took it off. Audrey and I exchanged a single, tense glance. We had searched the penthouse, the library, the bedroom, even the sealed bathroom. The ring was gone. The chairman is merely resting. Audrey lied smoothly, not a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. The heirloom remains secured under his control, as per protocol. Lies are acceptable, Operator, the arbiter said, sounding bored, perhaps even amused. Incompetence is not. We will give you 24 hours to secure the heirloom and present it to the council. Fail, and we will activate Protocol Chimera. You will be replaced, and the operation will be dissolved. The screen went dark, leaving the war room bathed in the harsh, fluorescent light of our failure. Protocol Chimera, I muttered, turning to Audrey, the name a cold echo of Elias's worst paranoia. That's how Elias planned to wipe the slate clean if he was ever truly compromised. It means they dissolve the entire command structure, liquidate all personal assets, and bring in a team of assassins to tie up loose ends. They don't care about our authority. They care about preventing a data leak that could expose them. We need the ring, Audrey said, standing up. My father wouldn't destroy it. He's sentimental about power. He hid it somewhere that only he or someone who truly understood his mind could find it. We went back to the penthouse. Elias's gold cage was silent, the air heavy and stale. We ignored the main rooms and went straight to the library, the scene of the confrontation, searching this time not for objects, but for meaning. He always said the Syndicate wasn't built on iron, but on paper. Audrey remembered aloud, running her hand along the spine of a rare, leather-bound volume. She was trying to think like her father, a dizzying, perilous endeavor. I moved to the corner where Elias's ornate cane, the one that had become more prop than aid, now stood propped against a wall. I ran my hand over the cold silver handle. Just beneath the surface I felt a nearly invisible indentation, a hairline scratch against the metal. Using a microscanner I carried for such eventualities, I confirmed it. A complex 7-digit cipher, repeated thrice. It's not a combination lock, I deduced, showing Audrey the scan. It's too long and too specific for simple coordinates. It's a literary citation, a way to cross-reference a shelf number, a book, and a page number. We began scanning the extensive digital index of Elias's collection, cross-referencing the cipher against the library's cataloging system. The first matches were nonsense financial ledgers, obscure political treatises. But the third repetition finally matched a title Elias often quoted, the one he claimed was the foundation of all power and ruthlessness, a first-edition copy of Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Audrey pulled the heavy, aged book from the shelf. The leather crackled under her touch. We flipped through the pages until we reached the end. On the final page, Elias had glued a paper-thin metallic keycard, no bigger than a credit card chip, carefully embedded beneath the end paper. That's not the ring, Audrey frowned, disappointment mixing with a flicker of respect for her father's cunning. I took the chip, turning it over in my fingers. This isn't the heirloom. It's the key to the vault containing the heirloom. He wanted to make sure we were smart enough to deserve it, or desperate enough to find it. The card led us down 2 previously unmarked flights beneath the command center to a hidden sub-level vault, a place Elias had sworn was only for structural integrity checks. The chip unlocked a single obsidian storage box recessed into the wall. Inside, nestled on black velvet, was the ring, heavy, dark silver, intricately carved with the Syndicate's twin serpent emblem, its eyes cold, empty rubies. Audrey didn't hesitate. She placed the ring on her middle finger. It was cold against her skin, heavy with the weight of decades of accumulated power and violence. The twin serpents seemed to grip her skin. A holographic interface sprung to life, projecting a single message in austere crimson text. Authentication complete. Authority absolute. We have the key, I confirmed. We can face the ghosts. We present the ring, satisfy their stability fetish, and buy ourselves 6 months. No, Audrey said, the authority in her voice now absolute, tempered by the risk of the action. We will show them the new rules of engagement. She didn't wait for the 24-hour deadline. She contacted the council directly, preempting their demands. The 3 cloaked figures reappeared on the central display, their digital faces radiating impatience and annoyance at being summoned. Operator, the Heirloom, the Arbiter demanded immediately, skipping any pleasantries. Audrey held up her hand, the ring gleaming in the harsh light, the light catching the serpentine eyes. You wanted to see the Heirloom. Here it is. It's mine. The Syndicate is mine. The authority is confirmed, the Arbiter said flatly, the threat receding marginally. But we have observed your choices, Operator. You allowed Caleb Shaw, an operator of known instability, a liability, according to our metrics, to dictate strategic moves. This partnership is risky. You will sever the bond with your chief operator immediately. The position must be filled by a council appointee to restore the chain of command. Audrey looked at me. I was already reaching for my secondary weapon, knowing this was the final fatal test of our alliance. This wasn't about the ring. It was about preventing the machine from changing. My first act as the chairman, Audrey stated, her voice icy and slow, is to redefine the role of the chief operator. Effective immediately, Caleb Shaw is no longer the chief operator. A moment of silent, tense victory settled on the council's faces. They had won. They had preserved the old structure. He is now my partner and co-chairman, Audrey continued, a cold smile touching her lips, turning that victory into ash. The Syndicate no longer has 1 leader, but 2. The power is shared, and the liability is theirs. The council was silent. This was unprecedented. Elias would never have shared power. This is unacceptable, the Arbiter finally declared, the voice rising in protest. It is done, Audrey concluded, cutting the feed with a single sharp gesture. The holographic display vanished, leaving the war room silent once more. The rules have changed. I finally allowed myself a thin smile. Co-chairman. Sounds better than chief operator. Less running, more ruling. We are partners now, Audrey confirmed, meeting my gaze. Which means we survive or we fall, together. The blade and the handle are now forged into a single weapon, just as the tension broke and the reality of our new, terrifying power structure settled. The command center alarms blared, a deep, rhythmic pulse they hadn't heard before. A new, terrifying red alert began flashing across the screens. What is that? Audrey demanded, her adrenaline spiking again. Is that a retaliatory strike from Ares Global? I checked the deep Earth sensor network, the data scrolling across my console and a rapid stream of alarming calculations. No, that's not a counterstrike. That's a discovery. A map of the remote Arctic region glowed red. A massive unknown energy signature was being detected, rapidly expanding from beneath the ice shelf. It was too vast to be a conventional weapon test, too powerful to be a natural phenomenon. Whatever that is, I said, looking at the energy graph spiking off the charts, it's big enough to register globally. It's too deep to be natural and too powerful to be human. It's registering magnetic fluctuations we haven't seen since the Cold War tests. Audrey adjusted the heirloom on her finger, the light catching the serpentine eyes. She looked less frightened than resolved. The world thinks Vance was the threat. The world thinks Elias was the power. They're both wrong. We are the power, Caleb. And whatever that thing is, it's the next target.